Very daunting because I didn't really know what I was doing, but I also don't think the world kind of knew what they were doing at the same time with podcasting.
Yes. Questions do you ask your brother about sex, and what kind of answers did you get?
Well, it was quite funny because one of my brothers whose episode came out, so I would say is probably the quietest. I'm hoping that there's a big generation of sex educators now that are gonna change what is taught. But yeah, I think a lot. I suppose the whole idea with sex education is that it is a lot it's more personal, and a lot can go wrong with it if you're not taught about it in the right way. Luckily for me, it hasn't gone wrong, and it is pleasurable, but I didn't realise that it was pleasurable. I mean, I didn't know that it was pleasurable for women. I'm always thinking about it, and that's really hard. So if anyone has any suggestions of what I could do, that would be great, apart from exercise. I prefer not to do that.
Yeah. Unless it's sex.
Yeah. It's a lot, and it's taken a lot out of me and continues to, and when it's not working, it's really difficult because you're thinking, hang on a second.
Welcome back to the Leading Boldly podcast. I'm Matt Clutterham.
And I'm Jenny Jarvis.
Today we're discussing a taboo subject. Yes, we're talking about sex. And we've got a great guest, the best guest to talk to us about this. Just 17, UK-based Tatiana Ashborn launched Dirty Talk, a podcast all about sex and relationships. Not because she had all the answers, but because she was brave enough to ask the questions most of us are too embarrassed to say out loud. Over the past 5 years, she's used Dirty Talk as a classroom, learning from experts and guests about intimacy, communication, relationships, and in the process becoming a certified sex educator herself. What started as personal exploration has grown into an important resource for thousands of listeners who come to Dirty Talk to learn, to feel less alone, and to realise it's absolutely okay to talk openly about sex and relationships. Her work has already been recognised twice, and the show named a finalist in the ITVB Creator Awards. Tatiana has followed a wonderfully non-traditional path, from attending the BRIT School to pursuing her creative interests to building a career in the entertainment industry on her terms. Along the way, she's interviewed TV presenters, therapists, reality TV stars, and one of her most watched episodes even features a very special guest, her own grandma. Today, we're going to talk about what she's learned about life, people, and relationships so far, why these conversations matter so much, and how sharing the messy bits, as well as the wins, can be a radical act of bold leadership. Tatiana, we're so thrilled to have you here. Welcome to the Leading Boldly podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so pleased to be here. This is crazy. I've just got back from New Zealand, so feeling slightly jet lagged. So apologies if I'm slow paced.
That's all right. I'm just delighted that we get to flip the script on you today and put you under the hot seat and ask you all the awkward, embarrassing questions.
So daunting.
We know what it's like being at this side all the time and having to go on the other side. It's a bit of a different world, isn't it?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. I remember, my first one, when I was being interviewed, I was so nervous, but I was actually so lucky when they didn't ask me anything like too personal, and I was like, okay, that's what I needed for my first one, just to get through it. And now, like, knowing how scary, like how nerve-wracking it must be to come on mine when I'm really getting personal. So yeah, it's crazy, but I love it, and who doesn't love talking about themselves sometimes?
And let's face it, when grandma can come on and sit in your bed and talk about all the hilarious things she talked about, it's a brilliant episode. You've got no excuse.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, honestly, my grandma, she is an incredible woman, and yeah, I'm so lucky to have her, and the fact that she came on my podcast is absolutely insane. It's crazy.
She's a legend. We normally start off this podcast. We will talk about a little bit more about grandma later, but we normally start this podcast saying, what were you like as a child? What was younger yous? But you're still really young. I think you're our youngest interviewee to date.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So you started in industry, really, podcasting at 17.
Yeah, yeah, it was crazy. It
Mad.
was in lockdown when I kind of thought, right, okay, I'm going down the podcast route. So didn't think about, I was acting, and I didn't really think about presenting until I actually hosted the like prom graduation show at BRIT. And from that, actually, parents in the audience came up to me and was like, "Oh my goodness, you're going to be a presenter! You're amazing. You should do that." And I was like, "Oh God, I haven't even ever thought about doing that." And then couldn't believe how my career has literally now gone into presenting, and I absolutely love it. And yeah, I can't believe I was 17, and also signing a first contract when I was 17 as well. Completely, yeah, not expecting to go down this route at all, and especially talking about sex. I mean, that wasn't on my that talking about it wasn't on my mind until obviously being 16 and having an idea, and then turning 17. But yeah, crazy the fact that this is the route I've gone by.
And most 17-year-olds don't really like talking about sex unless it's with their mates in a
Mhm.
bedroom, very closed group. Most 17-year-olds wouldn't talk about it to the wider world. So the fact that you did says something really big and bold about you. And although you were 17 and you still had a childhood. So let's talk about that.
Yeah.
What was being a kid like for you? What was school like? Did you like school? Tell us all that sort of stuff.
Oh God, this is crazy. I always wanted to talk about my childhood, but also like I've never been asked. So a bit daunting. Childhood, had a great childhood. Absolutely loved it. Have My family are amazing. And I'm indebted to them forever. And school was hectic. I loved it. I loved my friends, but at the same time, I loved the social aspect, but the actual academic side. I went to a very academic school that was pretty heavy on that kind of curricula, maths, English, sciences, as I'm sure most schools are, but this school just felt like extra on top of it. And I lagged behind everyone else. And I didn't do very well. I was failing like most of my classes. And I was working hard and revising all the time. And I think that was really hard because I went to like my teachers was failing something and I was like, oh, I don't know what to do. Like I'm failing. I'm not getting the grades, but yeah, I'm working and it's yeah, something's not clicking. And they kind of turned around and was like, oh, just work harder, revise more. And that for me was breaking point. And I was like, oh my goodness, I cannot believe you've just said that to me. I cannot tell you what a nerd I am. And everyone thinks I'm a nerd because of the amount, like the books I'm carrying, my back hurt. My dad forced me to take a suitcase bag to school. So of course, then I was branded the local geek and things, because I'm there with my wheelie suitcase taking to school because I had too many books in. And then even going on holiday and having to, my bag always went overweight because I just had all my revision books. But that was the most annoying thing, is that it just wasn't clicking and I was failing everything. So then I was so pleased that when I got into BRIT, that was kind of, if I hadn't got into BRIT, I potentially would have changed schools. Even though I did love the school I was at, I still have all my friends and I appreciate that school. It just wasn't for me, and didn't work because I was into drama studies. And don't get me wrong, I became a drama scholar within that school and absolutely loved the drama side of things. But it's just they wanted us to do better in the other areas that I wasn't so good at. So then going to BRIT, it was either BRIT or I'm changing schools regardless. But I had the idea in my head that I was going to BRIT since I was about 7. So when I finally got the chance to audition, that was, and then to get in was absolutely life-changing. And then obviously at BRIT you do your maths, English and sciences, but you kind of do less hours of it, or they teach you in a way that I'm going to understand it as a creative person. So for maths, it'll be like, okay, so if you're doing 2 pirouettes forward and 1 pirouette backwards, what number's that? If that makes sense. So it was more like in the lingo that I would understand. And I was like, oh my goodness, this makes so much more sense. And then I was, then I was doing well. So
It
yeah, so that's what I
really
would say. yeah, about
It
my
really
school life.
upsets me that this is our education system that we're living in,
Mhm.
that they say do more of something that's not working. Like any business strategist in the entire world, if you said keep doing more of what's not working, we would have literally no businesses.
Yeah.
No,
You know,
absolutely, yeah.
it just to me is madness that that's the world we live in and is the world we live in.
Yeah, and
We
they
have so many
literally they
frustrations
don't
with education.
yeah, they don't give you another avenue in it. And very much like my first school was like, oh, you're going to go to university, and what university do you want to go to, and what are you going to study? And it's like, well, I don't think university is going to be right for me because I can't concentrate for this long period of time, and clearly it's not getting going into my head, regardless of the amount of work I'm doing. So yeah, so when it's regimented to that, and it just seems like they don't give you another option, and there's always another option, you got to find the loopholes. And especially in the career I am now, I've only got here from finding, different avenues. And but then also within the podcast industry, to make it work, to make your podcast grow, you're always having to change because algorithms change online. And so you're always having to do something new because the same thing doesn't work all the time. Um, yeah, so I definitely, yeah, that was kind of my schooling life. Wasn't great, but I've got to where I am.
Absolutely. I felt a sort of a lot of commonality with your story. I was the same at school, like it just didn't really click. The really core subjects didn't really click for me. And yeah, and I started off in the entertainment industry. I was sadly pre-Brit School era, which made me feel very old when you said you were dreaming of it from seven, because it hadn't actually launched when I left school. So I went into the entertainment industry as an apprentice. No, and which was great. It was amazing for me. I
Incredible.
got to learn hands-on and all this of it. And yeah, and similarly, if someone had said to me back then, in years' time, you're going to be a host of a podcast, and you're going to be doing videos online, and I would have thought they were crazy because I actually went
Yeah.
into the sort of technical side of entertainment.
Oh wow.
Um, so
Yeah, Matt hid from the camera in
oh
every
yeah, I worked in the shadows deliberately.
Oh, that's crazy. Yeah, and then what a change. But also that's that you've chosen another avenue, and you can do both. You don't have to just stick to one as
Uh,
well.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's
and a 20-year gap in the education system between the two of you,
Yeah.
yeah.
and
Yeah,
very
yeah.
little change actually.
Mm.
Oh, that's a
Yeah,
really good
yeah.
point.
Yeah, absolutely. No, definitely. Definitely. Um,
And you are educating. We're going to talk a bit more about the education that you are doing, but tell us about that kind of those first steps in podcasting.
very daunting because I didn't really know what I was doing, but I also don't think the world kind of knew what they were doing at the same time with podcasting. It was very much like we would just obviously COVID, no one knew what to do, and podcast became then like kind of the next big thing. And well, not that I realized that at the time that podcasts were going to be do so well, but it was kind of you heard that these people were starting podcasts and this is the best way to listen and be creative whilst doing it. And I was fortunate enough to be able to have the space to create a podcast. Um, but I think yeah, there's so much work that needs to go into it, really. It's I realize how I couldn't believe that I had an idea and I actually went and got it done. A lot of ideas are just in your head for a while and don't actually flourish into something. I'm again guilty for all of that. I feel like I've got so many things I want to do with my life, and I don't know if I'll be able to get half of them done. So yeah, the fact that I actually started this podcast was amazing, and realize how kind of easy it is to do to actually get an idea on its head once you're passionate about it and you're like, right, okay, all I do realistically need is a camera and a microphone. Of course, like some people only need a microphone if you're doing just a regular podcast.
Yeah.
So realized, okay, this is doable. And but then you realize, okay, to actually, if you want to continue podcasting and make it your full-time job and keep it going, you've got to have some sort of level of trial and error of different what works, what doesn't work. And yeah, so realized actually, okay, this is not going to be as like we'll stick it online and it's going to do well straight away and go everywhere. You actually need to work at it. And there's a lot of crew, there's a lot of and time and edits and and it made me realize how much I needed to learn about software, about editing products and products. I mean, like the video and things like that.
At what point did you go, this is working and this is something I'm going to do for longer than just COVID project?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I think I had such a supportive family network around me. So within lockdown, I did it with my household members. And so there was 12 of us in lockdown. And I decided to film everyone one by one. And I kind of
And I have to pause you there, Tatiana, a second, because what happened when you went and go, I'm going to do a podcast talking about sex and you are all going to be on it? Like, what was that conversation?
Yeah, so I wrote a play, which is how it all came about for like one of the last terms at BRIT. And if it won a competition, then it would be put on London, and unfortunately, it wasn't because of COVID, which is why it then became a podcast. But my parents gave me an idea to begin with, and I really hated the idea. Had writer's block, and I felt like I never had writer's block. I was like, I never have a struggle, and yet your idea is awful, and I can't seem to write anything. Anyway, so wrote this play, but hadn't told them. And then it came to me actually winning the competition, and I was like, oh God, like I'm gonna have to tell them now. And so I gave them the play, and I mean, they just absolutely loved it, and they were like, this is amazing, and they were so proud of me that I'd managed to do this, and without their help, that I decided actually I'm going to go off with another idea and be brave and open up about something that I'm struggling with at that time. And so I think from that, and because I was so excited for it to be in London, the fact that then like the whole world changed, I think my parents felt really sorry for me, the fact that I was now going into lockdown, I was finishing drama school, what is going to be, am I going to be able to succeed in the chosen career path that I'm going into when theatres are shut? I'm leaving drama school with no agencies coming at me. And that was a worry. Whereas my dad actually was the one that was like, well, have you thought about doing a podcast? Let's brainstorm. And so I remember me and my dad having a meeting, and brainstorming some ideas. And it basically, I just then asked, my whole family were on board, and I said to them, my parents didn't do it, but I said to my brothers, would you do it just for a pilot season to get it up and running? So then I can present it to, have a project proposal to present it to TV, to either sponsors and people to bring on board. And so, yeah, they were very happy. And most of their episodes didn't come out because it was just a pilot season. So again, like lacking of either presenting skills or just like background of how the backdrops change. It looks so old, but a few of them did come out. So yeah, some of the first ones have come out with my brother as well. His is out. So yeah.
What kind of questions do you ask your brother about sex, and what kind of answers did you get?
Well, it was quite funny because one of my brothers whose episode came out. So he is I would say is probably the quietest out of all of us, and very socially amazing, but you can tell he's a bit more reserved, and a bit and keeps himself to himself. And me and my other brother probably spoke more about it or joked about the whole idea of sex, and my parents are so open, but we never and I knew how my other brother had sex for the first time, but I never knew how this brother did, but the fact I was then getting on him on my podcast, I was thinking, oh my goodness, like, is this going to be a really awkward conversation that he's not going to give anything because he feels quite shy about it? But like, it was like, no, not at all, which was amazing. I think he just kind of thought he wants to help me out, and he's going to give me some content to use. And yeah, so couldn't believe with how open he was, and we spoke about our upbringing together and spoke about our parents. And then the ultimate question that was with my brother is how you make a vulva smell nice. So I really thought this episode is going to be quite, I really don't know what he's going to give me, and that's the challenging thing I think about being a presenter and being a podcast host, is that you really don't know if they're going to come on and say yes, no, and that's it. And you're like, right, okay, how can I take the conversation on further? And I thought this potentially could be one of those scenarios, and especially because it's a pilot season, he might, this episode might not come out if he didn't like it. Yeah, and the fact that he then brought up the whole idea about vaginas smelling, and then yeah, that was one of the questions. So then he was telling me what
he asked you that question, or did you ask him?
No, I asked him, because he made a joke about sleeping with someone or something, and whether their vulva was smelly and something like that. So yeah, so then I was like, okay, so how are you meant to make it smell nice? And so it was very amusing. I'll send you the link.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious. Well, I have to say, your parents, your mum and dad sound amazing. They really do. Are they in business? Do they run businesses, or?
They do. My dad, my dad ran a business for many years, and I've definitely got my business, my head from him. Yeah, very successful business. And so he's very good on the sense of helping me and with the people that I've got to meet, that are like, obviously I'm a 22-year-old now, meeting people that are older than me and in higher positions than me. A lot of people won't necessarily take me as seriously as I think I should be taken. And so I think my dad's definitely good on helping me and inspiring me to be, the best version of myself, and how I can get someone to listen to me. And again, I've got a team that I've built with the podcast. And so my dad has massively helped me on how to keep people happy and keep them working hard. And I did a lot of management within hospitality for a while. And so my dad has given me like so much help with that, and just learned his management skills to help me within my career. And he's so good at writing an email, and I'm just awful at writing emails. And he's so good. I always get him when someone sent me an email, and I'm thinking, God, what? I don't even know what they're talking about, but how am I meant to help? And he's got me out of some sticky situations, so that's great.
Great, amazing, brilliant. There's something that I wanted to tackle, and that is, a lot of the time when people are starting podcasts or social media channels and they're going out in front of people talking, and we often hear it. It's like a societal norm that, before you do that, you need to be the expert in the room. You need to have loads of experience. People get tons of sort of imposter syndrome, feeling that like they're not the expert in the room. You started a podcast, and correct me if I'm wrong, about sex, and at that time you hadn't even had sex.
Yeah.
So you were like the opposite of the expert in the room, if you like. So how did that feel, and how did you sort of approach that?
Yeah, I feel like I was probably quite lucky in the beginning, because I was mingling with people around me, and friends and family, and everyone was just doing it because they liked me and they knew that, that it was going to be helpful, and they realized what I was hoping for out of the podcast. Whereas obviously then the bigger that my podcast got, the more I thought, oh God, I started this because I don't know anything, and I'm going into these rooms with successful people, either in similar paths or in a completely different thing, but also thinking, how on earth am I here when I've just been filming my podcast in my bedroom? So yeah, definitely like imposter syndrome fully. Oh no, I was going to say something and now I've forgotten. I'm very lucky in the fact that I thought, oh yeah, so I thought that having the fact that I didn't know anything about it was definitely an advantage to help me in a situation as well, because I felt like the fact that it made me be authentically me. I'm not trying to say that I'm an expert in this and I'm going to give you advice, because I'm not, and I'm still not an expert, and I still can't give you advice legally. I can give you advice just from me as a 22-year-old. But so I think that was kind of what I was going for with the podcast as well, being like, I'm one of you, and I'm going through the same things everyone else is, with the thoughts of having sex or not, or wanting to not have sex. And so I think that was kind of what stepped me apart, or still steps me apart from the others as well, because every interview I do, I'm asking the questions that I really want to know the answer to, because I'm struggling with it. But then what I've done since that, and I'm getting into bigger rooms, is that I've become a sex educator. And so I feel a little less imposter syndrome. I do like award shows and things like that, but when I'm at least in the room, when I'm doing this podcast, for example, I feel like, okay, I've got at least something that I feel like that makes me, there's a reason why I'm here. Does that make sense?
How do you become a sex educator?
So I did a training through ASET training. One of my podcast guests actually told me all about it. So her name's Sophia, and she said that she did it to become a sex educator. And so I did it. So I did a course. I think it's a 6-week course, or it might be slightly longer. And yeah, and it's just, I did it online. But you do like Zoom meetings. They do have in-person ones, but I think it was because they were coming out of well, it wasn't coming out of COVID. It was quite a long time afterwards, but I feel like everyone then went online when
they still are doing a lot online.
Yeah. And so yeah, just did a training course on teaching lessons. You had to do your own presentations, and they basically teach you sex ed again. So all my school lessons I then was taught at an older time in my life, which was really interesting actually. But I felt the stupid one, because I was there just like giggling every time they said the word penis again.
What was your aim for doing that course and being a sex educator? Was it to bring it into the podcast? Was it to bring it into schools, or was it for something else?
I think it was for both of those. It was for both of that. And I felt, and again, it was for feeling like I can have a voice, and that I have something that I can say and I can help people with. I would love to teach. I want to teach it in schools. I think it's very important. What we're missing in the sex education system, I think there's a lot that needs to change. And from what I learned at school, I don't think I learned half as much as I needed to, and I was really scared. So I really want to help other people, and to bring it in the podcast 100%, because the whole podcast is for sex education purposes. Like, although I'm not doing it formally, or sitting there with my whiteboard. It's the fact that just listening to stories. I mean, that's the best sex education I've received, is by just doing my podcast and asking the questions.
And real stories, not porn stories.
Exactly. And I'm interviewing people about their childhood watching porn. A lot of people think they're alone because they're watching porn, or they're alone because they're not watching porn. And it's interesting having those conversations with people that talk about their own experiences.
Yeah, because we were listening to one of your episodes on the way home last night, and Matt said, back when we were young, first having sex and teenagers, you couldn't go online. There was no such thing. Like, it wasn't a thing. You either braved going to the top shelf of the magazines and the newsagents, or you snaffled like a DVD, as not even a VHS tape.
Yeah, well,
but
I don't mind being completely vulnerable and honest here. Like, my earliest sort of remembrance of like sex online, the picture, and it was a static picture, no video, took so long to load that you'd actually finished before it was halfway through actually loading. because
That
it
is
loaded from the top
amazing.
down, and it's like
That's so funny.
it was like ridiculous.
That's
So
great. Oh my God, thanks for sharing. That's so exciting. That's hilarious.
I
God,
don't
poor you guys for
remember.
having to deal with that though.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember anything at all about sex education when I was younger. Like I literally, I don't remember anything.
Well, I do, but it was so limited. I don't think we actually ever were taught what sex was. We did
Mm,
like the biology part of it, like this is how babies are made and this is where they are and you know this is how they're born and the rest of it. And we did a lot around contraception and putting condoms onto test tubes, but I
yeah,
don't think we actually ever said that, you know, a man and a woman have sex.
yeah.
I don't remember that part at
Were
all.
you worried to have sex for the first time, or did you not really think about it?
Uh,
So my daughter, when she was 15, I think, she said came and said, "Mum, what was your like? When did you first have sex, and what was it like?" And I was like, "Oh crap." It's great that she feels comfortable to ask me, but
Yeah, yeah,
a bit of inside me sort of died because I thought, oh.
yeah,
So I said, "Oh, we need to have this conversation another time." And oh, I said something, I fobbed her
yeah.
off.
Mm,
And I went away and I thought about it and I thought, no, this is really, A, it's important that she felt she could ask me.
yeah,
And B, like, I have to give her the answer. So a few
yeah,
days later, I sat down and said, look, you asked me this question the other day and I sort of fobbed you off, but here is the answer. And for me, it was, I was very, very shy around boys in general. So I would say
mm,
first kisses were quite a lot later than my friends and peers. But then I started dating my best friend. He'd been my best friend for a few years. And when we were 16, we started dating. And I lost my virginity with him when I was 17. I just turned 17. It was in a bed in my parents' house. They were not there.
yeah,
And we had it was a nice experience. It was both
mm,
of our first times. We were the same age. We stayed together for 18 months. So for me, it was a really good first experience.
yeah,
And I always felt really grateful for that. And then when we broke up and I went off to university, I had like a year's rampage of lots of one night stands and trying to find my way in the world of sex. And it was all a bit weird. And I spent a lot of years after that feeling shame for
yeah,
all that. And
mm,
then I met my ex-husband when I was 19 and we were together for 16 years. So after, at that point, it all kind of changed again. So
yeah,
I just had the sex for me has always been a little bit of up and down and up. Excuse the
mm.
excuse the visual. Um, and I think, and the thoughts about it have been a bit like that too.
Yeah. And I think that's exactly what everyone goes through. It's forever changing. I don't think I've had the same opinion on sex day to day. I think it's changing all the time. And especially, I think that's why I love my podcast is because I'm interviewing loads of different people, not just my age. I'm interviewing people that have been married for 30 years or have gone through a divorce and what their sex life is now. And so I think that what you're feeling is so normal, and that's exactly how everyone else has felt. But it's so important to have those conversations and the fact that you then, um told your daughter is great because now she will have knowledge
Both
that
of my daughters are incredibly open with me about talking about sex. And sometimes I'm like, oh, geez.
too much. Yeah.
I always answer them as best I can. I will never forget the time I got called into the headmistress's office,
Yeah.
and I was the chair of the PTA at the time. And this poor headmistress, so I had a daughter in reception and one in year three. And she said, we've got a bit of a problem because one of the parents has called in and said that your daughter, the one in reception, so she
Yeah.
was what, 4, 5, was saying in the playground that girls suck boys' willies. And then that had apparently come from the sister and all of this. So you need to have a word with them. So I
Oh
picked them up from
no.
school and I was like, so girls, I just had a conversation. The headmistress was the color of my t-shirt. Like she was beetroot.
Oh my
And I was
goodness.
like, yeah, don't worry. So on the way home, I was like, so girls, this has happened. And they were like, we've never said that. We never. And and I said, look, it doesn't matter whether you said it or not.
Yeah.
Just don't say it in front of other people because other
Yeah, yeah.
parents don't like it. They don't like you talking about that stuff. So it's fine if you want to ask me those questions. And they were like literally 5 and 8. If you want to ask me those questions, you can ask me those questions. But other parents don't like it in the playground, so can you not talk about it? So I went in the next day, and my 8-year-old was with me, and the headmistress was there, and I said, "Right, Mrs. I've had a conversation with my daughter, and we won't be having those conversations in front of people, will we, Katie?" And again, the headmistress just went like,
So
absolutely
funny.
mortified.
So funny. Oh god, I'd find that so hard not to laugh as well when the headmistress is telling me that about my daughter. Like, even though it's the
Yeah.
worst thing, I would just be like, that is just so funny. And the fact that you have to, you kind of want to like laugh with your child, but the fact that you've also got to be like, you can't say that, and you've got to come across as, as strict because obviously they can't say that around school. That is so funny. That's so good.
But they're so little. Like
So little. And
there's
also, how on
nothing.
earth have they known that?
They
What?
will have heard it. Like they
Yeah.
hear stuff. There's
So
like in our
funny.
day, maybe not, but in though now there's so much on TV. There's so much available, and I think and I don't even know if it was from them.
Yeah.
It could have been, and it was from like a friend of a friend, and they had older friends, and
Mm.
I think we get so het up with about these things, and I just didn't. I was like, "Do you know what? This is just human stuff. They're
Yeah.
little kids, and they, and sometimes you have to check on safety as to whether there's
Mm.
anything that's
Mm.
happened and whether that's come from anywhere that it shouldn't have come from. But I think it was just general kind of gossip in
Yeah.
like you do. It just happens they're little.
Mm.
And I
And I
think
think
I think it's really hard, especially as like a sex education teacher as well, or just the fact that you don't have a sex education teacher come in to teach it. You have a normal member of the faculty, that teach you maths and English. And I think that almost should change. I mean, I've got a lot of opinions. I don't know, but I'm, here, there, and everywhere with them. But the fact that it is you then don't take them seriously because they teach you maths, and you then change the game by mentioning, the idea of sex, and then also you're not quite sure what you can and can't say, and when a child's inquisitive as well, you want to do your best to answer, but also you're not quite sure how much you can go into, and also what the parents will say because the parents have a say on what you learn as well. And I think that's really hard. I mean, I remember asking in year 6. So that must be when you're, what is it,
10 or
10, 11?
11.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember asking what's a blowjob, and my teacher went red as well and said, "Oh, you have to ask your mum. I can't answer that." And so for me, that was incredibly infuriating. Being like, "Well, you you don't know my mum." Like, luckily, I've got a mum that if I ask, I'm sure she'll tell me, and I'm open to ask her. But also, I thought that's my mum. I feel a bit shy too because and you don't know someone's relationship with their parents. Someone could have an awful relationship with their parents that their parents will hit them around the face if they talk about a blowjob in the house,
Mm.
and so that's like a real difficulty. And you go to your teacher because you're inquisitive, and all children are inquisitive. It's knowing, okay, what age can you teach what? And it's as a parent, you have to know, okay, what's appropriate for my child to know when they come and ask you questions, because that's what they will do. But I think it's one of those things that it's so important that you allow your child the space to ask questions, even if it is slightly something that you think, oh, you don't need to know about that now. It's something like being able to answer it in small amounts of detail. So you give them something, but you don't give them it all like freak them out, or to then go and spread it, or to so it sounds like you fob them off, and by either saying no, you can't know about that. But it's about saying, okay, so this is a tiny bit of it, and hopefully they'll come back when they're older and find out the rest of it.
It's really interesting, isn't it? Like we were listening to your podcast last night in the car, and one of the episodes, and the something came up for me that I wanted to ask you about because you've interviewed a lot of people now. You spend a lot of time talking about this. Why do you think sex education is such an emotive subject? Because on the podcast we were listening to, you were talking to someone and you were saying, a parent has the right to stop sex education, which I didn't know if they didn't agree with it or whatever. And my immediate question on a sort of logical level was, why is sex education any different to, say, geography? Like a parent wouldn't even consider saying, no, you're not allowed to teach my kid geography. I do not want them learning about bends in rivers. Why do you think it is such an emotive subject?
I genuinely I feel like I have no idea, because I'm also one of those spokespersons being like, what I think, why would you do that? I genuinely think it is, it should be taught and you should allow it. But I suppose it's intimate, isn't it? It's personal. It's like we don't walk around naked, So I think that's the thing that we hide some of ourselves. So maybe it's going back to all those years ago, when who had the first idea to put on clothes, and the fact that you can't take them off until you're in your own company, so it's probably going back all those years to asking the questions. But I think it's just I think we use words in kind of the wrong way, I suppose, or like the words that we choose to use are maybe have come across derogatory in terms, so the fact that you can't use, the fact that you say, I suppose, like the difference between penis and willy, and things like that, and like, or for example, like you say anal sex, and a lot of people, when you say anal sex, means gay sex, and a lot of people think that, and and that it doesn't just mean that. So sometimes people are like, oh, no, because it has connotations of certain things where it doesn't mean that. And also the word sex doesn't have to mean, doesn't mean penetrative. I just think it means whatever you want it to be. So if you want it just to be, a touch, obviously in, the depending how you use it. So I think it's one of those things that in generations has completely changed. But I think we're getting better at being able to talk about it.
I think there's a control element for parents. So if it's been taught by someone else, they can't control it. I also think that a lot of parents want or believe that their kids can stay innocent forever. I think that they think if they don't know about these things, then that keeps them safe. And it doesn't. Like that, it's all falsehoods, and it's all false sense of security, because not having the information makes them really unsafe when they end up in situations that perhaps lead to things that are difficult for them, and they don't understand and they don't know. I mean, I think the statistics on things like autistic children being sexually abused is massive, generally because they don't understand and they can't read the body language, they can't read the emotion, they don't know what's happening to them. And it's really high statistics. And I do think that that's the thing with the parents and the teaching in school. And I think if they had people like you teaching in school, going into teaching school, it would change everything for the kids. I think it would just be the perfect scenario.
Oh, thank you very much. I'll take that. But I think, I'm hoping that there's a big generation of sex educators now that are gonna change what is taught. But I think a lot, I suppose the whole idea with sex education is that it is a lot, like it's more personal, and a lot can go wrong with it if you're not taught about it in the right way, right? So I think you've just got to be, you've got to be very careful. Yeah, but I think the problem is that what schools are doing, or like what I thought my schools were doing, was the fact that it was scary, and I thought everything could go wrong when you're having sex, when realistically, more often than not, well, luckily for me, it hasn't gone wrong, and it is pleasurable, but I didn't realize that it was pleasurable. I mean, I didn't know that it was pleasurable for women. But yeah, that's a different story.
Yeah, so you were scared of having sex, which was kind of why you went out on this
Mm.
exploration route. When you finally came to have sex, were you afraid at that point?
Um, yes. Well, I think I was so nervous that I kind of made him made there be a bit of oh, what's it called? Like anticipation, because I was trying to long it out because I was so nervous to. So I was like, so he was like, "Do you have a condom?" And I was like, "Go and find it." And tried to be sexy, and it just wasn't. It was just more complication when it was like right next to me. It was just like I was just like prolonging it, that it was just ridiculous. Yeah, so funny.
And you're not alone in that.
I know. And also one of the stories that I got from a brother as well is that he built a whole obstacle course, before having sex. But I think that was always all a nervous thing as well, being like that they were going through the obstacle course. So I think it's just one of those things, right? I think, yeah. And so for me, I was so scared. I was scared for years and years and years. I felt like at the time, knowing that I think I know what I'm doing, because my friends would ask me, and my brothers, I felt like I knew because I had such an open family, and my brothers and stuff like that. And we talked openly, and obviously they were having sex. So it kind of was running jokes in my house that I got an idea of what it was. And then as soon as I went to have sex, it was completely different to what I expected. I didn't realize how hard it could be to find the right hole. There's just so many different elements. And so definitely I was very lucky. My first time wasn't anything I expected it to be like. So I actually thought I'd be drunk at a party, at a house party, and do it with a randomer. I thought, well, that's the best way for me, just to get it out the way, so then I don't have to, and I've done it, and it was, fun and a good laugh. Whereas I actually did it sober in my house, and with my best friend, that we're still best friends, and we had no, you know, we weren't going to be in a relationship. So completely different. And for me, it was more like for me and my best friend, we discussed saying that neither of us had sex and we wanted to. And so we were there taking notes and giving each other, recommendations for
I
next
love
time.
it. I honestly think there's nothing better than that. And I kind of
Yeah.
did that in a funny way. We were dating, but
Hmm.
and so we're still really good friends actually,
Yeah.
which is really nice. Were you nervous your first time?
Yeah, and I did do the whole get it out the way drunk at a party thing because I think for me it felt like something I had to tick off.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Like it
Definitely.
felt like an expectation. It's like I was sort of mid 17, almost think I was coming close to 18 actually. And it was like, okay, I've been legal for like years now. Like what it's all almost, like a teen film. It's like I've been legal for a couple of years now. Like, right, like I need to tick this
Yeah.
off before the next milestone when I can have an actual legal drink or.
Yeah, 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 no, absolutely. Well, I felt at 50, I was there at, yeah, 15 thinking, oh God, I wanna do it now, because I wanna just get it before I'm turning 16, just to be cool,
You
and
rebel.
to do something legal. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
like it's just, yeah, it's so funny. I mean, didn't happen obviously,
yeah.
but yeah, it's funny how like everyone goes through their different whatever they think. But I think also a lot of people have that they have an idea in their head of how they want it, and it's got to be special, and I don't necessarily think it has to be. Obviously I think it's amazing if it is, but it really doesn't have to. I think it's special in your own way, right?
Mm.
Because I think it is, I suppose a big deal having sex for the first time. And but I I'm very lucky to know everyone I've slept with and to be friends with people I've slept with, and people find that weird. But I'm like, there's a reason I've slept with them, and and at the time, and most of the people that I've slept with have been, one night stands. Because again wouldn't say I've had that much sexual experience. But there's a reason why I've decided to sleep with you, because they're hilarious stories, and it was a good time, and at that moment of time, and it's funny, yeah, but the amount of people that are like, no, why, I can't believe you speak to them. That's so weird. Like, you've slept with them, you can't be friends with them, and and I just think I don't believe that to be true, because I think
Yeah.
they're relationships, relationships don't have to be, a relationship is a friendship.
I also like I've never sort of consciously considered this, but as we're talking, I'm sort of processing things, and I think for me, I don't like there was obviously a first time, but I
Mm.
think I've had like a lifetime of first times
Yeah, yeah,
because like
definitely.
you experiment and try different things with different people, and like
Yeah,
new people bring new knowledge to the party, and like you might try different things. I think that I've had a whole lifetime of first times actually,
yeah,
and I
yeah. Well,
think
yeah.
yeah, and
Uh,
I think that that's not really I've never really thought about it like that.
no, absolutely. And as my grandpa used to say to me, he used to say, never marry the first person you sleep with. Now, I don't know how much I agree with that. However, I do think you can marry that person, but you've got to sleep around within that. So, they might be your one true love at the beginning, but break up and sleep around and then come back if you want to marry them. But yeah, it is interesting, and that again, that advice was something I lived by, thinking, oh Jesus Christ, like what if I end up, with my best friend, and that's the way I want it to go, perhaps in the future. What am I going to do? Am I going against what my grandpa's saying? And then realize actually it's okay if I do, I can marry the first one, but I've had a lot of fun experimenting, and I think it's so important to experiment, because the amount of like what I've learned about myself, is crazy, and the stories that I have to tell, and just the people I've met, and a lot of people don't have that. And don't get me wrong, I'm sure they're thriving in their own life, but yeah, I feel like I would always be intrigued, being like, oh, what if?
Hmm.
Apart from Grandma, who has been your favorite podcast guest and has sort of told you things that have made you really go, oh my God, that's
Um, oh God, now I need to think, who have I had on the show?
it's really hard because if someone said that asked us that question, we'd struggle. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think I had my first ever podcast one that I did that isn't live anymore was a husband and wife, and just the fact that it was the first one I posted, and it was my first couple, and it was the first one after lockdown, so outside my bubble, and just the fact that, I mean, very unfortunately, their marriage has ended, but their life together was just fascinating, and the fact that they have had two boys, and grown together, but also grown apart, and it was very like obvious in that kind of interview, the fact that that happens, that you have a life, but also you kind of despise each other at the same time, and but you got to live through it. I'm trying to think someone you can watch through now. Who have I had? I feel like everyone's been really interesting. I've had Sophia Gaylor, who is a sex educator and is very much into the facts and knows a lot. And her episode was like one of those that I was thinking, I'm the one that's doing this podcast, but you should be doing this. Like, I'm bad with facts, and remembering quotes and things like that. So couldn't believe like her interview I thought was just incredible, and I would listen to that over and over just to because I'm so fascinated in what she wrote a book, and she's an author about sex myths and what's right and what we just hear that's wrong. And that episode's like absolutely fascinating.
Hmm.
So yeah, I think that's
who would you like to have on your podcast?
Miriam Margolyes.
I'd love
Absolutely
you
love
to have Miriam
her.
Margolyes.
That
Yeah,
would be so
I'm
funny.
she's
Her book.
so funny, so funny. Yeah, absolutely love her. Yeah, I think she's great. Again, another one like Dawn French. I think Dawn French would be great as
Mhm.
well. She's quite
Yeah.
open, and she's hilarious as well. But yeah, Miriam's definitely up there.
Oh, I used to walk through the village listening to her book on Audible because you've got to have her voice with the book
Yeah,
and laughing my socks off. I
yeah.
was just, walking through our very well-to-do village listening to Mary Margolyes used to make me just die laughing. I would
Hmm.
have loved to have my grandma on your podcast. She was the one, like your grandma, but she would always talk to us about sex things. She had 7 kids and she was always joking about it. And my grandpa died when she was in her 40s, like really young.
Mm.
And then she met, and I had a step grandpa, and they got married when she was in their 60s. And she said, I remember her saying something in front of my cousin once. My cousin was 16, my grandma was in her late 60s, and she said something about having sex with my step grandpa. My cousin was like, Grandma, shut up.
That's so funny. Oh, I want her on my podcast.
Unfortunately, she's not been with us for over
I
12
know.
years now, but she was a real inspiration for me to just like
Mm.
be open and
Mm,
talk about these things. And my mum always said, "You'd never listen to anything I said. You would never talk to me. If
that's
I
so
talked to you
funny.
anything about sex, you would just say, 'Mum, stop.'"
God, but how lucky though to have your grandma though. I think that's important that, sometimes you can't go to the ones that are closest to you. That is your mum. But the fact that you had such a influence from your grandma is great because a lot of
Mm.
people don't have that. You're very lucky.
Mm. You've uh, you've decided to do a lot of your learning in public, right? And what's been the hardest part of that?
Um, I think again, it's obviously you're getting a lot of you get a load of people think things of you, and you can say the wrong thing once, and I'm just learning. So if I say the wrong thing and it's not, like, it might not be politically correct, or because I'm saying a word that I've heard around and didn't realize maybe I don't know if I've done that, but stuff like that you think I might be, you never know when you put it online what the backlash is.
Yeah.
So I
Mm,
think that's the struggle, right? Is that, and also I would say the difficulty has been the fact that I have now had influence on, um I've had loads of other people's influence on me, and I find it hard to work out, okay, exactly where I sit
mm,
within what I think about sex, because I hear loads of different opinions and experiences, and then I kind of get lost in it, and
Mm.
yeah.
and then I think, am I just taking on what someone else has said to me rather than that's actually my own thought?
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I think in those moments, you just got to really stay in tune with your body and what your body's saying
Yeah.
in those moments. Something my therapist talked to me about a few years ago, where she just said, why do you ignore your body all the time
Mm.
when it's giving you the answer? And I was like, oh, yeah, okay. I need to
Yeah, yeah.
maybe look at that.
Yeah, yeah. No, and
Um,
I've had many a time where I've just, like, after I've slept with someone and felt really uncomfortable, being like, why on earth did I do that? I did it because I got a kick out of it. Like, I just thought it'd be fun, and and then I was like, oh, I really thought sex meant that I could sleep around. But then for me, I found that actually really hard because I didn't want to sleep around, but felt
mm,
like I should, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
And then found it really hard. So I feel like for a lot of the times I had sex, I realized, oh God, like I feel hot, I feel, ugh, a bit gross. And that was really sad as well, thinking how much I celebrate the fact that people sleep with whoever they want to.
Mhm.
I found it quite sad that I felt like I couldn't do that.
I
Um,
felt like that too. I can really relate with
yeah.
that. Do your friends come and ask you for advice?
They do. They are, yeah. yeah, my friends are so funny. I went traveling with friends, but every time I had to do a video in public, they would squirm and walk the other direction. And it would just be me. So yeah, it's quite funny. But yeah, they do. They love what I do, and they ask questions and things like that. But I think that's another hard thing is that I obviously do have some friends that I'm meeting people all the time, and I might be with a friend and someone asks me what I do, and sometimes it's hard for someone to take in exactly what I do because it can be awkward, and then loads of people ask questions and think I'm someone that I'm
Mm.
not. Um, and so yeah, I think that's hard. But yeah, most of the time. But I think I'm now at the age really that a lot of my friends kind of know that have their own thoughts that they don't need advice. So I would say it's more the strangers that ask me for advice or like the people I meet randomly, than actual my friends, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's interesting. That leads us on to a question that I've got actually, which is you talked a lot about you being influenced by other people, uh, uh, but you are now the influence for millions of people. How does the weight of that influence feel? And is it something you enjoy? Is it something that you feel can be hard?
I mean, absolutely love it. I wouldn't do it if I didn't love it. I think I can't believe that there's that many people listening. And yeah, I'm very grateful, and thankful obviously that people are listening. But it's daunting. It's a pressure, to a certain amount of pressure to post. Not even because people are asking for it, but because I'm thinking in my head, being like, my views are going to fluctuate, my views are going to go down if I don't post at this certain time, or have this amount of content going out, which is annoying because that means I feel stressed every day. And so it's something that I can't really escape. But yeah, love it. Love it. But and then I think, am I projecting the right thing? Am I educating on the right thing? And again, because I think it's important that people know that I am not there to get it all right. I don't know everything. I'm like before I obviously became a sex educator. I mean, even though I'm a sex educator, I still feel like I know nothing, but I feel like I've got to know something. So we'll pretend I do. But yeah, I think that's the worrying thing is that yeah, I was thinking that if I say the wrong thing, then that is what is taken out of context, if that makes
Mm.
sense. Or hurt it, or I don't want to hurt someone that I'm so on it with my podcast guests in like, if there's anything that you don't like, I will take out and it won't go online. Or I'm very careful with, how I build my reels because I don't want something to be taken out of context. As much as it's like clickbait and sometimes you need it, it's also I don't want to harm my guests, and I'm so conscious of doing that. And it's their personal story, so they've got to feel comfortable.
Mm.
Yeah. Do you have any routines to look after yourself emotionally while you're working or?
I definitely think I need more,
Hmm.
because I think I'm very much because my studio is at home and because I work a lot from home, not just on the podcast, but with like other things or sex educating, that's all from home. That it's then hard to escape. So I go to bed and I'm looking at my phone all the time because I'm thinking, okay, when's the next email coming in and what do I need to do? And I think that is something I need to be better at, is putting my phone down. And even my partner, I live with my partner, and he says the same, please, can you put your phone away? So yeah,
You
I
don't
think
say that to me, do you?
No, I've never said that. I've never said that ever.
so I
Sometimes
don't.
I go, where's my phone?
It's
And
because
it's
we're just
because
so popular.
yeah, he snuck
Yeah.
it away. It's like, yes, it's time that you spent time with me now.
That's so funny. What a good idea though, just to sneak it away. That's great. That's so funny. Yeah, I definitely think yeah, having time away. I mean, I've just literally got back from New Zealand, and that 2 week trip is the longest time I've spent away, not actually, oh, don't get me wrong, I thought about work, but not as often I usually do. Usually even though I'm aware, I'm always on my laptop, and I couldn't believe that time. So maybe it's just going on holiday for a bit longer and actually doing a holiday, but that I'm not on my phone. Whereas I feel like I do a lot of holidays, but I'm always bringing my laptop with me. Yeah, I'm trying to think anything else apart from just I just feel like I'm facing it all the time because it's social media.
Yeah.
You know, I'm always thinking about it, and that's really hard. So if anyone has any suggestions of what I could do, that would be great. Apart from exercise, I prefer not to do that.
Yeah.
Unless it's sex.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your TikTok channel and your YouTube channel and everything is really exploded. Like you have
Mhm.
a lot of followers. I can't remember how many it is. Remind us how many followers and you've
350.
downloads?
Yeah, 350,000 followers, and then yeah, I've had like 100 million views, so it's great.
Crazy. And what was the tipping point? Like, at what point did you have your first little?
I think it was, well, as soon as I put my first video I posted, and maybe it was the third one that did extremely well on TikTok. This is when I posted, and I was lucky that I got in there right before TikTok like blew up. So I was kind of one of the first, alongside thousands of influencers, but we kind of all got pushed up at the same time, which is like amazing. And that's like that third video, and it was actually with that couple that I was talking about earlier. That like blew up, and I was like, oh my goodness, like this is insane, like instantly. And that's what amazing thing is about TikTok is, but I don't know how legit TikTok is anyway. But that was just incredible, and thought, oh my God, I could really do something. And then I think it was I went traveling at this I did 3 years, but at the beginning of 3 months I hit 10,000 followers. I think it was 10,000 or yeah, 10,000 followers, and I was like, that is like that's crazy. And I remember my friends that I was away with, my two best friends, and they both got me like balloons and a cake or something. And I was like, oh my goodness, like the fact that they're even acknowledging it, you know, that's incredible. But then the sad thing is that like the bigger you kind of grow, the less, the like more you want, and the less you actually think that's amazing. You kind of think, right, what's next, you know? And I think that's the real struggle. But yeah, I think being nominated for a creator award as well, which was last year, I was awarded for my first one. Like that was that's massive. That's in like in the industry with alongside, you know, loads of creators, and then to be nominated again this year was crazy. So yeah, and hopefully next year, and then next year I'll actually win it.
Yeah. What are your next steps? What are your ambitions for this?
I think just to keep the podcast going. I think it'd be such a shame to give it up, you know, and not do it. I think it's such a good passion project, as well as obviously my livelihood. I absolutely love it. I think it would be, you know, no matter how many people are listening, I think it's important to at least one person, whoever's listening, you know, you don't know who's listening. That's the thing as well, you know, that I feel like I couldn't possibly let it go. And I think it's just to, yeah, just grow the space, grow a community. I'd love to go into schools to teach it. I'm gonna like actually put my, I don't know what you say, put your head together. No, that's if you're talking with someone else. I don't know. I'd love to actually get down and try and do it. I was talking to a school beforehand, actually my old school, to go in, so I'll get back in contact with them. And I'm gonna, I think, take on maybe some private people, like homeschool people, to teach it, because that might be a good way to go into it. But I'd love to do, I'd love to speak at more events and things like that as well for it. To yeah, or just to help the studio that I have. I now also run with other people's podcasts, so I'd love to gain more podcasts and help them with a space where people aren't fortunate to have a podcast space.
When people are watching this, and they'll have thought about having a podcast for years probably, and they'll have not done it because they go, oh, you can't really make any money out of podcasting. How do you make money out of podcasting for those people out there who are going, you can't make money out of podcasting, there's no point?
Yeah, so I would say it's all about, I think I mean, you're very lucky if you end up making it through like TikTok, for example. I think it's very hard. At the minute, it's only if your videos are over a minute long, you can get paid for it if it's over a certain amount of views, obviously. So it's very hard. So again, like I've got 330,000, I think, on TikTok, and I'm getting like £10 every 2 months. It's crazy.
Right.
So I would say that you're very lucky if you're exceeding that. So I would say the way podcasts work is that it's through sponsorships. So when you get advertisers that are wanting to either display their company or their product, and that's the best way to make money.
Awesome. I've got a totally selfish question now. And that is we're really proud and thrilled that this podcast has just passed 10,000 subscribers on YouTube,
Insane. Well
which
done. That's
is
incredible.
which we're loving.
Yeah.
What's your biggest tip for us now that we've passed the 10,000? What should we be focusing on now?
Continuity. It's definitely keeping at that, because that's something that I have definitely lacked in, especially recently when life just gets too much. Yeah, continuity, just putting it like, yeah, going straight out there. Maybe having maybe doing, I don't know whether you do it, but an email forum. Do you have emails that you can do an email document and get people to sign up? So then you're always in their inbox and they're always thinking about you. You can start a community page to talk about your podcast and each guest. I have a Discord account where people can write in and send me and ask questions and things like that, and everyone can help each other with advice and things like that. I think that's very important too. Yeah, but congratulations, that's huge. That's amazing.
Thanks.
If we were on your podcast, what question would you ask us?
Oh yeah, good one.
Wow. Definitely. I mean, I would probably be asking, because obviously you're married, how it is working with your partner, and having a fruitful relationship.
We really
how's it
love
been?
it, don't we?
Yeah, we really love it.
We get asked this question all the time.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
really? Yeah.
Because people are like, how do you literally spend every single minute of the day
Yeah, it's
together?
amazing.
Yeah,
It's
because we're
incredible.
business partners as well as married couple. Yeah, really great. We love it. I think in terms of the work thing, you can either do it or you can't. It's like it works for you or it doesn't. But yeah, I mean, we're still very fruitful. And
Sometimes
it's
he
an
does have to tell me to shut up because I'm forever interrupting
Yeah,
and I'll just spout thoughts and stuff. And he's like, right, I really need to concentrate now. I'm like,
that's
okay.
so funny.
So I think
Yeah.
there's an acknowledgement of one of the very first things we did when we first met. So me and Matt matched online 5 years ago this week.
Oh my God, congratulations. Wow,
And
happy
we got
anniversary.
married 2 weeks ago. And so one of the first things we did when we got together was work out our disc profiles, our personality profiles.
Mhm.
And they're very opposite. So
Yeah.
we had a long conversation about how I receive information, how I give information, what I need, what I don't need, and the same with Matt. And they're very opposite. So just having that appreciation of what each other needs with regards to communication really helps us in the workspace. I've also got ADHD, so I'm constantly I get distracted a lot.
Yeah.
And Matt will bring me back into focus quite a bit. So if I'm a bit erratic and all over the place, he's like, right, whiteboard, these are the tasks to do today. And
Yeah.
I'm like, cool. So we sort of understand each other's strengths and weaknesses and lean in and help each other with it.
Yeah, I think that's great.
Instead of getting frustrated. We also do we dance a lot in the office, don't we? So
Yeah.
if the energy is getting really low, we stick on some music and we dance around the office.
That's so nice.
Which creates a lot of connection. We
Yeah.
make sure that we give hugs and things throughout the day, because I think it can be so easy to go into work zone and forget that we're partners as well, because I think people talk so much about leaving it at home. When you get home, you leave your work at home and and they box it off. But actually, we're partners, and sometimes you need that that love and attention during the day as much as separating it out is helpful. So I think for us that works a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. And I think one of the things that I really love about us, and I think it's probably one of the first times I've really experienced what this means in practice and reality, is
Mm.
that I heard advice years ago of people sort of teaching about sex, saying that foreplay, isn't just the 5 minutes before you actually want to, get busy with each other.
Yeah,
It should be like a whole day, or,
definitely.
a big lead up. And
Mm.
I think I've always sort of known that that's something, but I think we just naturally do it with each other. And I think that's the first time I've really understood what that meant in practice.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think it's definitely, yeah, it's all about communication. And yeah, it's like a lot of people think that like long distance relationships kind of don't work and that will never work, whereas I don't believe that. I think if you want it to work and it I think there's a way of making it work for you guys, and it
Mm.
seems like you've hacked that as well. With
Yeah, and my mum and dad have been married for 55 years in March, and my dad went to sea for 6 months of the year.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
although he was home for 6 months, he was away for 6 months.
Mhm.
And that was for them, that
Yeah.
must have been really tough when they first got married and things. I
How
mean, my
yeah,
mum
how do
went
you
to sea with him.
Oh wow, the God, that's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you think you guys would deal with being apart from each other? Have you spent much time apart from each other or not really?
Yeah, we have at times, because before we joined forces on the business, I traveled a lot with
Mm.
work. So, but and particularly, I mean, we met during lockdown, technically. So, to start with, there wasn't a lot of travel, but then I did do a lot of travel. So, we have had that, and we don't particularly enjoy being apart, but we
Yeah.
can, we can do it, and
Mm.
we are still,
Definitely
strong and
been several times where you've been had to be away for 2 or 3 weeks
yeah.
and at a time to work.
Yeah.
And if he was still in the job that he used to do before COVID, he was away sometimes for a month at a time. And I'm quite used to that. My dad was away at sea.
Yeah.
My ex-husband was away a lot and it was fine.
Mm,
But we sort of, I think you can engineer your life into a way that works for you.
Mm.
And part of what I do with coaching with people is helping them live the life that they want to live, not the life they're just kind of tolerating.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
definitely.
we very actively design our life to be how we want it to be
Mm.
rather than tolerating stuff.
mm.
So I think if Matt was still in a job where he had to work away a lot, I would probably go with him.
Yeah,
And in
yeah.
fact, quite a lot of the time I have come with you, haven't
Yeah,
I,
yeah,
on work
absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
projects. So I do think for it is about what do you want in life? What do you want as a couple in life? I've
Mm.
got friends who would hate our relationship. They're like, "Oh, it's you're too much together, and
Yeah.
I like my own space," and that's great. And I turned up. It's very famous. I turned up on our first date with 30 questions, all on like literally like this on
Yeah, yeah.
A4 sheets of paper, 30 questions, and one of them was how much time do you want together versus how much time do you want apart?
Mm.
And if those two things don't add up as a couple, it generally won't work.
Mm.
But
Mm.
if one person wants lots of space and the other person equally wants lots of space, it's great.
Yeah.
If one person wants to be with someone all the time and the other person doesn't,
Mm.
that tends to not work. So it's about matching your values together.
Yeah. And how do you feel about what do you think in the sense if you have two different sex drives? Do you think a relationship can work?
So I've been in relationships
Mm.
like this, and I think it is more difficult. And again, it's all about communication.
Hmm.
And sometimes when things are opposite or opposing, you have to work like our personality types. You then have to have strategies in place so that you don't have this conflict
Hmm.
because it is really so it's much easier to have the conflict if
Yeah.
there's misalignment.
Hmm.
So you have to work out whether you can put enough strategy in place for it not to cause the conflict. If it does cause a conflict, how do you deal with the conflict?
Yeah.
Or you are better finding somebody that is a bit better suited. And I'm not a sex therapist. This is, I'm talking
Yeah,
about
yeah,
this from personal experience and coaching experience as
Mhm.
well. And how we kind of all work
Mm.
psychologically. I think if one person feels like they're being pushed out
Mm.
and they get hurt by that, it's very difficult to then pull that back. So there's somebody always having to compromise. There's somebody
Yeah.
always having to give or take something that doesn't feel good. I've learned from being with Matt, I've really learned a lot about sometimes there are times, and I think it's a woman thing more than a man thing, and I think it's an age thing as well, where I just don't feel like having sex really. I'm like, we've had a busy day. And if Matt approaches sex, I could count on one hand the number of times I've said no
Mm.
in that moment. And
Mm.
there are a lot of women out there who will say, "Oh, well, if you didn't feel like it, you should have just said no," well, which is what
Yeah.
I used to do in past relationships. And what that meant was we had less and less and less and less sex.
Yeah.
Because the more you say no, the easier it is to say no. And
Yeah.
what happens to me every time I say yes, afterwards, I'm like, oh, I'm so glad I said yes. It was
Mm.
like, because it creates
Yeah.
that connection.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
in that initial instance in the beginning, I'm like, oh, we've had a long day. I'm really tired, or I can't be bothered, or I'd rather watch
Mm.
this episode of whatever's on telly, and then I have to check myself and go, hold on a minute. This is about connecting with your partner. This isn't about giving
Yeah.
something up or like this. It's about connection. And as soon as we have that, I come away feeling much calmer, much more uplifted, going,
Yeah.
yep, that was a great decision. I think there's a lot of women out there at the moment who feel like, well, I don't feel like it, so I can say no because I can say no. And
Yeah.
really fighting for that almost as a woman's right. But actually, sometimes if you're in a loving, and I'm talking about a loving,
Mm.
sharing,
Mhm.
caring, safe relationship here, I'm not talking about full of
Yeah, yeah,
tolerance.
yeah.
When you do say that yes, your whole system, your nervous system just goes, oh,
Yeah. And I think also the aftercare I find with saying yes and having sex, even like maybe if I'm not feeling it, the aftercare that I'm very lucky that my boyfriend does that for me because also I was in a relationship where like it was like turn over, you're knackered after it, whereas like the aftercare for me now is way more important than the actual act of doing it because you feel closer, because then we hug all night, and you praise each other, and you're so nice to each other, and you don't think about the rest of the day, and
Mm.
I think that's also kind of what's more important, that you feel closer to someone,
mm,
and that's lucky. Well, I'm very lucky to have that.
Mm.
Yeah,
yeah.
and I
And
think
it just makes
that's why, like, it's not almost the act of having sex, it's the whole before and after as well.
Mm.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, because we were talking about our honeymoon because we had a very short honeymoon, but it was we both said it's the best honeymoon we ever had. And the first time I got married, we didn't have sex for a full week after we got married.
Yeah, wow.
So the whole first week of our honeymoon, we did not have sex because I was exhausted, drained,
Mm.
just like it was. And then you're kind of going, oh, what's this all about? We're supposed to
Yeah,
be on honeymoon and there's all these expectations. And so I spent a lot of time beating myself up as well about having those things. And I think we beat ourselves up too much around
yeah,
sex and what
yeah, yeah,
should
no,
and shouldn't
absolutely.
be.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Mm.
definitely.
Do you share a lot in public, but you are also a private person with private things going on, your own relationships
Mm.
behind the scenes? Did you make a conscious decision around the boundaries as to what was private, what was allowed public, or has that evolved? Or
Not really, and I think it's ever changing. I mean, it's ever evolving. Um, yeah, I feel like I don't know. I think sometimes, yeah, I find it hard because when you're doing social media, I feel like all your worlds kind of collide, and you kind of have to be as willing to be as open as possible. But I think it's one of those things that I think it's hard when someone thinks they know me, when I'm thinking, oh, no, you don't actually. I actually do other things.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, that's quite funny. And I also like that. I like being quite mysterious and doing random things that a lot of people don't know that I'm doing. But I don't think there's ever, a conscious decision
Hmm.
to do that privately. I think the older I get, the more that's going to happen to me. Then I'll think, oh no, I want to keep that private. I mean, definitely my family life I keep private.
Mhm.
I would say. So yeah, don't get me wrong, I love posting a story about what I'm up to. But yeah, I think family for me is very close. I'm very close with, and does that make sense? I'm very closed off with, maybe. My dad, for example, he doesn't like being posted anywhere. He doesn't like people knowing what he's up to or anything to do with our life.
Yeah.
So that probably helps with what I'm willing, with that, what I want to share and what I don't want to. A lot of his opinions I have as well. So yeah, but otherwise I wouldn't say I'm. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like if I'm asked a question, I'm an open book. But if I'm not
Mm.
asked, I won't share, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. I feel like that's a
Yeah.
good way of
Yeah.
putting it.
That makes complete sense.
I'm a very open book. I've
Mm.
written a book. There's all sorts of stuff in there that nobody ever needs to know about me, really. But in being those open books and sharing the way we do, so many people message me saying, you sharing that and saying that has really unlocked something for me or changed
Mm.
something for me or allowed me to get over that shame or allowed me to like get over that thing that happened. And I just think that sharing the stuff that goes on in our lives, if it helps other people, is the least we can do in some ways.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. If it helps, if it helps just one person, you really don't know your audience. And yeah, you don't know what that one person is going to lead you to next. Every time I think, oh God, I need this on my podcast, or this is just how can I grow? And then all of a sudden something will come out of the woodwork, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I needed to do that shitty episode for that to come out of it, or something like that. You really have absolutely no idea what's like next on your path.
Mm.
Yeah, and I'm very lucky with right at the start when someone would message me, and even like every now and again I get a random remark from, really recently I got an old school friend reach out and say, oh, I just want to say I love what you're doing. And I'm like, what? I didn't even know you knew I existed still, and that's amazing just to know that
Yeah.
someone's watching. And yeah, and like even everyone I meet, people sit there in silence just scrolling through, Instagram. And even if you don't get a like or a follow, there's someone watching. Like the amount of times that I'm out, out on a night out or out an event, and someone comes up to me being like, "Oh my goodness, you look so busy right now," and I'm thinking, really? Well, oh my God, like, do you even follow me? How do you know that? Or being like, "How you think I'm busy? I'm actually just being at home, but I've got loads of content to post from the
Yeah.
last."
That's a good thing. Do you ever record a podcast and go, oh, that just didn't work?
Um, yeah, I mean, I definitely have done an interview where I've thought I'm not doing my best, or that was tough to do because they're not giving me much. Um,
Mm.
but again, I believe that it will help someone, and someone might be the exact same person they are, and be is it bad? I don't know if it's bad. Well, like if someone's socially awkward, there's many people that are socially awkward, and
Yeah.
that it's going to help someone. I'm socially awkward sometimes, and so I think, I think even those episodes are really important, because someone's going to listen to it, and and even one that I thought, oh, I'm not quite sure in this episode, thinking this is great, but I'm worried that it's not. It could. I like. Yeah, it's great, but it's not where I thought the conversation was going to go. But even then, and I posted it, and it didn't do as well as I was thinking it would do. Like, well, I kind of didn't really have any expectations for the episode. However, then a few months later, I got an email, and someone reached out saying that episode has been my favorite episode because I've learned so much from that person. And I was like, oh my
Yeah.
God, like every episode there's a reason for it. And every story is really important. So regardless if I don't think it's been the how I really wanted it to go, I don't think that's anything on the person. It's just the way in which
Mm.
life is, and what we do and don't know about sex.
Mm. Do people ask to come on your podcast now, or do you still have to hunt people out?
No, I'm very lucky. So people ask me to come on my podcast, so which is great. Obviously there's still me behind the scenes also. I'm going through countless profiles and countless friends and family going, please come on my podcast. But yeah, so I feel like it's definitely a two-way street, but I'm very lucky that I can, if I wanted to, I could sit back and wait for people to come on. But obviously I don't like doing that as well because there's loads of people. I think every story is so fascinating. I mean, everyone has a life and something to tell. So yeah, and I think it's important that with my podcast that I don't just want the biggest names out there, you know, of course that helps. But it's not all about that. You know, I want the people that I would walk across the street with and you know, so who's at the local concert. You know, I think that's very important because I think the problem with social media now is that it's all people that are of influence, are the celebrities that just I can't relate with. And that's the hardest
That's
thing.
exactly why we started this podcast, because we felt like, particularly in the like leadership space and people leading things, the represented voices were all at that level.
Yeah.
Sorry, that level, and a lot of our audience need to know how to get to that level.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah.
Um, yeah. What's one question that we haven't asked you that would reveal something you want to get out in the world today?
What a good question. Oh my goodness. What's one question that I would um that is so difficult.
Sorry.
What's one question? So, right.
So what haven't
Say
we
again.
asked you
What?
that you would
Yeah.
like to tell us?
Yeah.
What would I like to tell you? Um, I don't know if it's something that you haven't kind of asked, but maybe something that I also don't say is just I don't know, just how hard that it is, like how hard it is um being someone to lead boldly. You know, I think it's just yeah, it's important to get the message out is that yes, on surface level, I'm probably look a great, you know, I've got a certain amount of followers and I'm very happy and it's growing and that's great. But also it's a lot and it's taken a lot out of me and continues to. And when it's not working, it's really difficult because you're thinking, hang on a second, I've got that platform that has that many followers and this platform that has next to nothing. You know, what's going wrong? And how and you know and yeah, I think it's just I think it's important, like the fact that not, I don't think there's one set thing that works. You know, it's constantly ever changing, and I think it's just, yeah, I would say that's important to get across that, you know, that you have to try and try and try again, you know, and something eventually will click. But I think
Thank
a lot
you
of
for
people,
saying that.
yeah, I think a lot of people will come on and listen to like podcasts and hope that, you know, they'll someone gives you some advice and you think, oh God, they're doing so well. How can I do it? But I don't think I get so annoyed now going to like conferences and listening to content creators and the podcast hosts about how they've created their thing. And I'm like, it's just a load of can I swear? I don't know whether I can swear.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
absolutely.
I just think
Please
it's a
do.
load of bollocks because realistically, no one has any idea what works and what doesn't within social media. So like if someone you know, everyone's just like, just keep going. And I'm like, no, it's not, you know, it's not. And they tell me, oh, have you thought about this algorithm? And I'm like, it's not like, you know, I've thought everything, you know, and I'm trying everything and it's not working. So I just think,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. It's just, yeah, I think it's important for people to know that like they're not alone when it's not working or that it's hard and that you just have to, you know,
I think there's
work
so
through.
much
Yeah.
out there now that makes it look like everything comes quickly and easily.
Yeah.
And we talk to our clients about this all the time. It
Mm.
doesn't.
Yeah.
And you have to try stuff and you go, okay, podcasting might not be for me, and that's okay.
Yeah.
it might be the thing. So you can try it, but that even if it is the thing, it's not easy.
Yeah.
And I think there's so much out there that sounds like 3 simple steps to
Mm.
get 1 million viewers.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
just doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
And as you said earlier, it's about consistency and keeping showing up and
Mm.
putting the work in. And if you think it's just gonna, oh, you can put 5 videos up and it's all gonna be viral and wonderful, it's not like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And also, like, if you're going to put 1,000 videos up, sometimes it's not like that. You know, you need to
Yeah,
actually
yeah, yeah.
put the, you know, so it is, yeah, I think it's just important to emphasize that, you
Mm.
know, that's just the way, you know, you have to work hard and then work harder.
Yeah.
Well, I love the fact that we've got someone in the world like you, starting at 17, still only 22, but working away, leading in the sex education space, I think is absolutely amazing.
Yeah,
Thank you
really.
so much. I really appreciate that. That's so kind of you.
Gives me a lot of hope for the future.
Yeah. Before we get on to my favorite question of the whole show, the can I just ask? You started off in drama, and
Mhm.
you've pivoted across, and you're doing this other thing, and you're doing amazingly. Is drama still a passion? Do you see yourself returning even as a hobby?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm still acting. I'm still doing it. So yeah, I love it. I'm lucky enough to do that as well now, which is great. Obviously I'd love to be the next, I don't know who's big now. I don't know, Dame Judi Dench. I'd love to be her. Um, but yeah, that is still a passion and will forever be. And I think that's what I'm kind of worried about is being like, I don't know if I'll ever be happy if I'm not acting. So even like being a presenter, like, and within the creative industry, I can't not act, you know, that's my thing.
And is
So
it TV, stage? Like, what's your favorite thing?
yeah, so at the moment it's TV and film, but definitely stage is something that is my favorite form of acting. And I want to I want to do that as well, go into it. But I think TV and film is there's more of it than there is theatre. And TV and film is incredible. But yeah, I mean, I was taught mostly, I went to the BRIT School for theatre and then later studied film and TV in LA. But theatre will forever, I think, have my heart. So I want to go back into the theatre space. So that's definitely something that I want to do within the next couple of years.
And what would be your ideal show? Your like, if you could do any show, what would it be?
I could do any show. Any show, any show. I'd love, oh, this is so ridiculous. This is something I've always thought when I was really young. I'm obsessed with James Bond. I'd love to be a James Bond girl. You know, the Bond girls, the one the attractive walking through the sea or something.
We are Q Branch. We know a lot about James Bond.
Yeah. So that's what I'd love to do. I feel like I've got to also come up. What's a great character? I don't know, something dramatic. I love crying on camera. That's great. I love being emotional. Yeah, or like classic, like Mamma Mia. Mamma Mia is just great. Wouldn't that be a legacy?
Oh,
Yeah.
Matt's not an ABBA fan.
Oh no. Oh no.
He doesn't.
That's
We all love
what
Mamma Mia in our house, and Matt's like, no.
something like that. Moulin Rouge.
Yeah.
We can fully invest in Moulin Rouge. Do you like to sing as well?
Yeah. I sing. Yeah. Which is great. I love it.
Awesome.
Mm.
Right, Matt, you're up.
Yeah, so I get to do my Desert Island Discs bit now. Radio
Love
4,
that podcast.
if you're listening, that I could present this for you too. But for now, let's keep it on the Leading Boldly podcast. Can you give us one book, one piece of music, and one tool or framework that's really sort of shaped how you've grown and really shaped your life that you'd like to share with our viewers and listeners to help them?
Absolutely. So, book of choice is How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. I don't know if you've ever read it. But yeah, excellent book. I read that when I was about 14, I think. And it was published in 1936 as well, which is insane. But yeah, just I was given my dad gave it to me and was like, do a presentation on this, and I'll give you some money for doing a presentation, but show me that you've read it.
I love
So
your dad. We need him on this podcast.
Yeah, we do.
I
Yeah,
honestly, yeah, yeah. He's great. But the fact that I was, like, I think younger than 14, and he gave me how to win friends and influence people, and was like, do a presentation.
Solid.
So yeah, that was my first presenting job. No, and yeah, so I think that's great book, great book. Yeah, just the fact that you have to be interested in people and to praise people. That was the two like big things from that book, which is so important.
yeah.
Song, mute or piece of music. Someone Like You, Adele. I know this sounds ridiculous. I was thinking, how can I be really inspirational with that? But there's just nothing inspirational about it. Apart from that was kind of what led me to sing, to be in the arts. Was I think, Adele's incredible, and Someone Like You has really, like, I've sung that every day, and I still do. I think that's, what a great piece of music.
Amazing.
Yeah, so I would say that. Then, what was it? Framework. So
Yeah.
I write everything down. So I'm not very good on my laptop for taking notes. I'm very much like a writer. I love my calendar, so I would say like sticking to a calendar for every day. That's another thing that my partner has a problem with my phone, but he also has very much a problem with my calendar because it's out when I'm in bed, just flicking through my calendar. And yeah, he absolutely hates it. He's like, what on earth have you possibly got to put in your calendar at midnight? And I'm like, I'm looking at what I'm doing this week. I'm like, I just need to know what I'm doing. So yeah, so funny, but also scary because then I go out and I don't have my calendar and I can't make any plans until I'm with my calendar. And I panic thinking, what am I actually meant to be doing today? So yeah, I
If
would
I
say,
didn't have my calendar, I would be totally lost. But sometimes, because we have a shared calendar, it's like bzz, bzz, bzz,
yeah.
bzz. I'm like, oh, Matt's updating the calendar. Like 20 things that I've got to approve. I'm like, oh, for God's sake.
Yeah. I find it more annoying when James, my boyfriend, he can't put things in the calendar, and I'm like, I'm so excited for him to tell me his work schedule. I'm like, well, let me write it in. He's like, oh no, I'll write it in later. No, and I'm like, no, my calendar is me. I have to write it. I want to write it on
How
my
did
own.
you meet James?
Through online Hinge. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
we
feel
love online dating. It's good.
I know. I'm pleased to hear that you did that. Yeah, it was one of those things I still can't get behind the fact I did that. But yeah, because I just
Proud of
find
it.
it funny. But I'm very pleased, obviously, to have met him. So that's great. And think it's an amazing thing. I mean, why wouldn't you online date? I think it's incredible.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just
And
wanted to meet him in a bar, have the
and
story.
how does he feel about this?
He
You're
loves
like,
it. He loves it. Yeah. I think it took him a while to. He was always behind it, but like probably took him a while to kind of work out exactly what I do. But yeah, no, he loves it and he loves talking about it, and yeah, watches every podcast with me. So that's great.
good. Well, hi, James.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I think there's this romantic notion about meeting somebody in a hobby or a pub or a restaurant, or like in real life. But how many divorces have resulted from real life meetings?
Yeah, no,
Millions
definitely.
and millions. So people
Yeah,
like spout statistics about people that meet online, but actually, my divorce was from someone I met in a nightclub when I was
yeah,
19. Your
yeah.
divorce was from someone you met in a pub.
Yeah. But
We
also,
live that life these days.
online is just something that is a thing now. Like you're going to follow people on Instagram that you're influenced by. Like it's hard not to meet someone online. So
Yeah.
it's just one of those things that this is the way the world has gone. So you can't shy away from it because that's how most people like you follow pages that you're interested in. So that could be, you're the partner you want to be with. And it's the same way by scrolling on Hinge. That's another way. Like I did it to meet new people. Didn't expect to actually come out with a boyfriend from it. So very fortunate on that behalf. But yeah, I just think it's something that there's no escaping it, is there really? In this day and age.
No, I totally agree.
And I think it's as positive or as negative as you choose it to be.
Yeah.
Now, we did come up with an extra question this year that we haven't asked. Do you have a phrase, a kind of motivational saying that you use?
Yes. Yeah. I feel like I've got a few. So Richard Branson says, screw it, let's do it. And I think that is very much like that, take a risk, just do it, get on with it. And then I love Robin Williams. I'm assuming you guys have all heard of him because he's a legend. But he says you're only given one little spark of madness and you mustn't lose it. And I think that is, that goes to me because I'm very mad and my life is one big ball of madness. So
Yeah, that's awesome.
We watched the Robin Williams film just the other day, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
Oh, which one?
Oh, it was the one in the it was one of his real ones, not Patch Adams, but he was a doctor, and he was. It'll come to me. I need to think. It was working with the patients who were locked in.
Yeah,
I can't remember.
I can't remember what it's called.
I think Good Morning Vietnam is my favorite. I love that one.
Yeah, he's done many brilliant ones.
So links to your book and music and things are in the show notes below. So go and grab those if you want to sort of dive into those books, that music. Where would you like people to find you?
Yes, so on I suppose TikTok, Tatiana Ashborn _ and my Instagram, or you can find me under Dirty Talk official _ as well. My podcast is Dirty Talk Under the Sheets with Tatiana Ashborn and friends. So yeah, you can find it on all platforms. Yeah, and
we'll put links to everything in the show notes as well. So go grab that. I highly recommend you go and indulge in a bit of Dirty Talk because it's awesome.
Especially Grandma.
Especially Grandma. Go and dig out Grandma and her banana stories.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the Robin Williams film was Awakenings.
Very good.
It was very interesting.
I'll go check it out.
It's been a real pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you very much for spending this time after you just had your trip to New Zealand.
Yes.
More on you. Thank you for having me after your wedding and your honeymoon. And God, I can't believe how quick it's
keep on leading broadly in the sex education because we need it.
Yeah, I was also going to say thank you for just doing what you're doing because it's a really important mission. And so thanks.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Oh, Jenny, your life's just one big drama. This was what my auntie said to me, and it inspired me to put all my dramas in one book. So if your life is full of drama, and I believe everyone's life is full of drama, this is the book with real stories, real struggles, real tools to navigate real life.